let's learn some jiu-jitsu. Well, this is going to be a fun class. I would like you guys to have fun. The way that I think about jiu-jitsu, painless, precise, and playful. Today we're going to be playful as we're understanding how to mostly stay on somebody's back. Okay? So when you're with your partners, have feedback. Like, you know, if I'm trying to take his back and I'm like this, Will's going to be like, hey, that's not my back. Right? That would be, that's good feedback. Okay? If you're like, oh, I was able to roll this way, whatever, talk. Okay? This class is going to be fun. For whatever reason, I have a ton of energy, so hopefully I can convey that energy to you, and we're going to have fun. The one thing that I'd like you to get out of this class, if you don't remember anything else, it's that when you're on somebody's back, you want to control rotation. Okay? That's basically it. I'm going to try to keep my chest on his back and not let him rotate. What do I mean by that? If I got his back here and just rotate into me, Will, well, that's a problem. Right? If I don't let him rotate, I can still do all my chokes, do all the things that I want to do. Make sense? All right. There's different ways of controlling rotation and different, call them points or axes of rotation, right? Hips and shoulders, for the most part. Our legs control the hips, our arms control the shoulders, and we're going to be like a little backpack. But we're going to isolate these things in our games today and how we play. Okay? So the first game that we're going to play is we're going to be a seatbelt. Okay, everybody knows seatbelt grip. I don't actually care if you want to grip like this or here or here. In fact, experiment. Okay, just sit there. We're going to start in any configuration. So he could start here. He could be in turtle. We could be, don't start standing for right now. But my chest is going to be on his back, and I'm going to have a seatbelt grip. And my whole goal is to stay there. Okay, we're going to move 20, 30%. So actual movement, but 20, 30%. Oh, okay, I messed up. And we restart. Okay? That's it. And then I want you to come back to me and say, oh, well, this is what went wrong. This is what, I found. I'm going to give a few little tips because I'm not totally ecological in my thought process. Okay? Most of the time, our elbows get flared as we're holding. As he's trying to rotate out or trying to move out, my elbow may get flared. When my elbow is flared, there's more space. When there's more space, it's easier to rotate, right? We're not trying to get our hooks in this game. Think about where your elbows are at. I say this every class, and I'm going to say this probably forever. When you're being offensive, go ahead and extend. But if you're neutral or defensive, or once you've caught what you were looking for offensively, actively bring your elbows back home. Okay? Everybody get it? Yeah. So literally anywhere. So it's not just here. Yep, it could be here. All right, go ahead. And then what did you feel went wrong there, Will?
Well, you see your elbows open, there's a bunch of space, and then I just...
Exactly. My elbows flared, I lost connection with that chest, and he was able to get out. Okay? Then he would do it on me, and we go. Let's have some fun. 1, 2, 3. How do we feel about the ground? Whose friend was the ground in these scenarios? The escaper, right? So how do we deal with that? What are some thoughts that we can deal with that?
Control the hips.
Well, we'll get there, but maybe not. I like where you're going with that.
Keep him off the ground.
What if I'm here and he's trying to spin out? If I try to pull him back like this, what's going to happen to my elbow? Kind of open to pull, right? But what happens if I start driving him forward? Is the ground his friend anymore? You guys see what I'm saying? So, for another minute or two, I'd like you to try to force the person towards the mat. Okay? Belly down. Stay in turtle. If I'm in turtle, yeah, we can be safe, but if you already have that seatbelt, you're already in that space. That person's elbow's not home, so you're going to control rotation to a certain extent, right? When we're in good turtle, they don't kill our rotation, which is why we're relatively safe. But once this starts venturing away from home, the more dangerous it is, okay? So what we're gonna do now with our partners, same seatbelt, but really try, instead of, so it's kind of to your point, chest like you were doing a lat row almost. Not hard, we're still going 20 or 30%. We're not trying to use our muscle, we're trying to be good frames, just bringing everything where it wants to be. This is where I want to be. If I was going to carry heavy groceries, this is where I want to be, right? So all I want to do is lightly bring that back home. And Will, can you tell me, or can you feel a difference between this and this?
Oh yeah.
It's not, I'm not going to get tired. It's not like, okay? I'm still breathing, but just an active lat roll back with your elbows, and then actively use your legs and hips to try to get them belly down. And let's see what happens. Sound good? Mm-hmm. Cool. 1, 2, 3. Anybody, it was stroke 9, right?
I don't know.
No, the name of this class is Little Black Backpack. Does anybody know that song that we were just playing? Literally no one.
9.
Fuck.
Play it again after that.
Hey, you can't hit a home run every time, you know what I'm saying? How do we feel there? Good. Was there any difference, like, between the two? Big difference? Cool.
So would you say it's enough if you get your opponent to resist the turn instead of getting him set because I wasn't able to get him set?
Sure. And like, you were working here, right? Yeah. He kept good defensive posture. Most of the time, I hate using absolutes, but most of the time, if you give up one thing, or if you really defend in one way, you're giving up something else, okay? And we'll get to that in a little bit, okay? Don't fuck up the flow, bro. All right. So now we're gonna do the same drill, except instead of a seat belt, we're gonna do double unders. And let's see what we can do with this, okay? So I don't care where you start. I don't care if it's turtle, sitting, a scramble. It doesn't matter, okay? But I'm just going to have double unders. I'm going to use the same principle we just talked about. And this one's kind of interesting because, well, I just want you to kind of just explain the difference between when I'm hugging you like this and then when I just bring my elbows. I'm going to rotate my elbows, keeping this grip. I'm just going to rotate them in and just kind of actively bring them back, okay? So this is hug number 1. And hug number 2.
Hug number 2 sucks more.
That's the perfect description. Okay? So we're gonna do, oh, come back here. Come back here. I gotcha. Okay, so we're gonna do we're gonna do this again, this time with double unders. Boop, boop.
Heimlich.
And now, yeah, we're gonna give him the Heimlich. And now, go ahead and move, just play. Wee. Wee. Let's see what happens. Okay, 1, 2, 3. What do we feel there? Thumbs up? Yeah. That's better than the last class. Last class you're like, you suck. I remember. No, you did not say that. You're right. What was the difference? What did we feel the difference between the seatbelt and the double under? Say that again?
Felt tighter.
Felt tighter.
Yeah. Easier to follow.
Easier to follow.
More control, but the opponent can also swoop up.
That's right. Once you give something, you're probably giving something up, right? Anybody? Did we like that better or worse? It's kind of interesting. That would be.
Without the hooks is worse.
For the seatbelt. If I had to pick between seatbelt without hooks and double under without hooks, I'd choose the double under. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Okay, now we're gonna move on. All this hopefully will be running in the background throughout the class, right? Like there's nothing that I'm gonna show that you should be like, you know, grabbing like this and like, you know, a concave posture, right? So back is an interesting thing to me because when I think of back, I like to move a lot. Like I'm 165 pounds. I don't know what that means in kilos. She's just like 70,
79. 8.
72, I think. Right?
No, say.
Yeah.
No, not 70, no.
Whatever, math. 2.2 times
7, whatever. Okay. That was fun.
mass involved.
Yeah, yeah. America. Love it. So anyway, I'm not that big of a guy, and I don't like any position that I can't immediately move out of. So if, like, I don't like playing full guard. Well, yeah, this will work too. Yeah. If I have like a traditional back position, like obviously it's good, right? All of his weapons are facing away from me, right? When I say weapons, I mean arms and legs. All of them are facing away from me, and I have somewhat control. This is great. But the problem is I can't move either. And I don't like that. Like, remember I said painless, precise, and playful? I also don't like shooting him, come here, breaking his nose, trying to get a rear. You know, you can. I'm not saying it's bad. It's just not how I prefer to play the sport 5 days a week. Like, I don't want my training partners to do that to me. Therefore, you know, I don't do it to them. Okay? And obviously, if we're at seatbelt, we can start attacking arms, which I just reached for and just didn't find at all. So now it looks, okay, we can start doing all that. But, and I'm saying it's a great position, but I do sometimes enjoy making them work from here because I always have my movement. Okay, now I can go anywhere and I can create scrambles from anywhere. Okay, so there is a reason to do this. If we're playing point jujitsu, then you probably want to get your points, right? That being said, there are reasons to do it just like this. Now I'll go back to what I was going to show. Remember, I said there was 2 ways of controlling, or 2 points that we really want to control. The one main thing, does anybody remember the one main thing? What's that? Okay, that's part of it.
Don't let them rotate.
Rotation, right? So if I here or here, I have a pretty good handle on the rotation of the shoulders, but as you guys know and probably felt weird, I don't have any control of the hips. That's what my legs are going to do, right? Remember my last class, I said control the joint above and below. The legs are grasping on, the arms are grasping on, and the braking mechanic is the hip. It's kind of the same thing. Okay, oh, I'm just going to be here. This time, however, for this drill, what we're going to do is we're just going to try to control the hips with our legs. No arms. So no arms. We're not attaching it anyway. Okay, this gets a little weird. It feels weird. Okay, couple tips. Think of your knees as your elbows. Can you please tell me what it feels like the difference between this and this?
Yep, this one sucks more.
Okay, and then remember from the braking mechanics, whenever I attach my legs, I think heel to butt and butt to heel. Okay, so heel to butt, inside. And now, let's play. Ready? Go ahead. Just 20%. So same thing, just with your legs, just your hips. Look, Ma, no hands. Sound good? All right, let's try it. 1, 2, 3. Well, how did that feel? That felt nice. This is where it normally gets a little awkward, but you guys did great. I think it's all the fun you're having. Okay, so any thoughts or anything that you noticed or anything that you can share with the group? Yes.
On the long term, it is quite exhausting to keep doing this always toward the inside.
Yeah.
Eagles.
Yeah, you got
Pilates ring. I just found these last week. The coolest thing ever. I'm gonna get
it can be. There's the way that I look at it is like I'm doing a hamstring curl, and then just it doesn't matter how hard I'm pushing, because even just that little bit keeps me a little bit more connected. And then my goal isn't to control them with the squeezing. My goal is to stay connected to the point that when they shift, I shift. When I move, you move, just like that.
Hell yeah, hey, DJ, bring that back.
All right. This is getting off the rails. I hope this goes on YouTube and everything. Like, who is this idiot? Okay, so a little exhaustive. That's good. Anything else? Yes.
Found it easier the heels to butt thing. Like the lower my hooks were, the less control I felt I had, whereas the higher they were, the better.
Yes. That's great. Good observation. Yes.
Kind of turning the toggle, if you kind of turn the top leg into the hamstring to like pull yourself up a little bit, kind of made it easier to.
That's right. That's right. 100%. And it pushes your knee into them a little bit more as well, which makes it a good, tighter position. Beautiful. Cool. All right. So great information there. Now we're going to talk about a position. A friend of mine, John Gouda, out of Iowa, calls it the super hook. It's a point of control of back that it's not both hooks in, it's just one hook. Can I use your again? And we're going to play with this. Okay. So, however we get here. So I got one hook in, and he's doing a good job of getting this. Yeah, I'm not getting that hook in, right? His elbows are back home. He's doing the smart thing here, okay? Additionally, especially in a situation like this, if I don't have any connection with the shoulders, he's going to have rotation. I only have one hip connected. He's going to be able to rotate out, and he's going to get out of this, right? So what I try to do is I'll use this top leg to give him a little kick. I'm going to triangle my legs, and you're going to love this. My knees, not going to be flared. My knees are going to point in, okay? So we're going to play in this position for a little bit, all right? The first configuration of grip, I'm going to be underneath on the head. Nothing else, okay? So we're going to get into this super hook position. I got one hook in. I got nothing else. Boop. A lot of times you may need to bump this up. And if you're, height disadvantaged, not looking at you, Cynthia, for sure not looking at you. If you're height disadvantaged, here's the trick, so you don't just struggle with this. If you're head to head, it's going to be difficult, but watch. Now you'll be able to get in there, okay? So just sink your hips lower, okay? I'm not going to give a whole ton of detail here, but a lot of all the things that we just applied may apply here. So if I just kind of do it, Will, you can feel that versus this. Mm-hmm. And this shouldn't tire you out from this. It should just be this rotation, okay? So just at the head with the super hook, and let's see what we have. Okay, 1, 2, 3. There we go. I'm just trying to get in position. The reason that I had us start there first is if we're here and he's doing a good job keeping his elbows back home, it's going to be very difficult for me to get this seatbelt grip, which is what I actually want, right? Because then I have the control of the shoulders. But you can still give him a nice hug here, just over the head, right? Because he's keeping here, I'm just going to be like, man, I really appreciate you, Will, right? So that's why we're starting off there. What challenges did we find? What did we like? What didn't we like?
So I found if the guy was on your back, if you could get your free hip to the mat, it felt like you could then turn.
Gotcha.
But then when we found that out, we found it was actually quite easy to stop the person getting the hip to the mat.
Awesome. I like it. What else?
It was hard on the boys.
I don't have a solution for that one. A cup, I guess we do have a solution.
You control the rotation very good.
Yes.
Yeah.
And right, that's the point of this class, is controlling rotation, right? What else?
I find that getting that triangle on my legs is kind of hard for my legs are a little short. So
I like to hook behind the calf area, and then I make like a J with my foot and then turn my legs in, which gives me a lot more control of everything here. So same control that you get from just triangling, same amount of space essentially, actually less as I make this J, pull everything in and then turn. It's even less space. So short people, if you have problems getting to this point, I think you could play with this a bit, and that foot has to be engaged full time, or you start kind of foot locking yourself here, right? But if you can get this on the outside of your calf and make a nice little J, turn that leg out, it takes away all that space. And I finish triangles like this as well, so it takes away so much more space.
Totally. Absolutely. Yes.
Instead of rotating out, to rotate in and get in turtle position from there. And that was more difficult to follow. Yeah.
And it will be in, like, if you get to the other side, it seems like they can sneak out, use the ground to sneak out, right? But remember, we're only at stage 1, and we're around the head. Okay, now we're gonna go into stage 2. And this time, he's really starting to fuck up. So now, and I guess what I should say, when we're killing rotation, instead of having like all 4 points really here, I'm controlling a diagonal, right? So I'm controlling this bottom side hip here, and then this top side shoulder. In this round, what we're going to do, we're going to still be around the head, okay? This time we're going to have that underhook through, and then everything that we've been working on, same elbows, everything, with just a special attention to this shoulder as well, okay? Still 20 or 30%. However you want to get that, cool, but we want that shoulder. Make sense?
You got sort of regular seatbelt there?
Yeah. Yep. So if we've even started from seatbelt, oh, one hook in, over, kick him in the butt, come through. If that's how you want to get into it. We're not talking about entries right now. We're just talking about staying on the back. Sound good? Yes.
I can see. What did you do with his shoulder? Could you maybe?
So we're getting that seatbelt grip that we worked on right in the beginning. And then same things, elbows back home, everything the same, but perhaps just a little bit more attention to the opposite shoulder of the hip that I have controlled.
I'll show again.
Yes. Yes, okay. So let's think about shoulder, shoulder, hip, hip, right? Those are the 4 joints. When I'm over this leg, I'm going to be controlling this side hip. Okay, I have my seat belt. So if I have his right hip currently, the most important shoulder to control is the left shoulder. Because if I control the right shoulder from here, he can rotate. If I control the left shoulder from here, he can't rotate. Does that make sense? Okay. Let's try that. Yep. Do you have another question? Here we go. Get ready to clap. All right. 1, 2, 3. I hear some groaning. The groaning may be us. I hope that's not the fun leaving the body.
The learning curve.
Yes. What did we feel from the seat belt superhook?
A twister.
You can do a twister from there very easily. That's another class. So we got amazing. That's good. From a control aspect, keeping on the back, right? That's the point of this class. Yes.
So it got hard when she would turn to the other side, like where she had the. So I think it wasn't as easier to scoop out.
To scoop out. What do you mean?
Scoop out.
Oh, to scoot out. Gotcha. Okay. So what happens with people, I'm going to assume that both of you are relatively dexterous and you're small, so it's tough to really fill that space, which means that it's going to be harder to rotate. It's the gift that you have for being smaller, right? Bigger people, they don't have that gift. Like, they need more space to move through, right? When you're there, if you can't control, there are consolidation techniques that you can do, like ending up on top, or because you are small, we'll kind of get into, you can bring them back over, which I think is what might answer your question. Okay, to bring this full circle, so we've tried with just the head, we've tried seatbelt. What's next? Double unders. Well, not yet. Hooks is the next. So you're 2 ahead. Yeah. Okay. So we're going to try this with double unders. I was thinking about this. I was just telling Will, and I like to be very upfront. I very, very rarely go double unders from this because the seatbelt offers so much control. That being said, there are some benefits to it. So if we go back in here. So again, Will's made some mistakes here, but I'm going to get this double under position. Now, if you guys remember, I went to Superhook. If you remember, the most important thing was this shoulder, right? And we want that counter rotation kill, okay? So obviously, if I'm down here, that's going to make this counter rotation killing a little bit more difficult. However, what does it give us? So if he tries to get out, he's not going to go that way. It's going to be very, very difficult. Yeah. And I think a lot of you probably, and I think this was your question, you end up here, right? If we go back to the beginning of class, my chest isn't on the back. My arm probably wasn't in as much as it should have been, and that allowed this to happen. But when we have this double unders, then it's a lot easier to pull them back. Okay? So what I'd like to do, and we're going to kind of mess with the configuration of the legs next, what I'd like you to do is play here, get your grips, and see what you can do from here. They go over, okay, and you then use it to bring it back, okay? Let's practice that for a little bit, and then we're gonna kind of bring it all together. All right, 1, 2, 3. Jiu-jitsu is fucking awesome. I've been doing this. I've been doing this for 19 plus years, and I just learned something. Didn't think about, I've never seen. Mike, come on out here. So he's now going to teach this part of the class. So go ahead and put me in the super hook. And you have a long wrestling background, right?
Yeah, since I was 10.
So so he's got me in the super hook. Okay, problem. He started with his double unders, and he goes,
Half.
oh, the half sucks. So he's using a full and half Nelson from here for control. Do that. If you could describe the half Nelson, how you're like shifting your body.
So you pull this hip really tight so that he can't rotate his hips that way. And then it's like the twister. You're rotating, shooting your hand under his head, straightening your arm. And as your arm straightens, it pushes this shoulder down towards the mat. It's a pinning combination in wrestling. So I want to give the shoulder blades to the mat. But it also just really sucks.
Just learned something new. I'd never thought of that. Thank you, Mike. Appreciate you. That's awesome. Yeah. Okay. Let's. Oh yeah, we're running out of time here. Are we having fun still? Yeah. That's good. Okay. I actually believe you guys. Thank you. Okay, come on back. Okay, now we're gonna handle 2 what ifs. Okay. So we're going to go into, I'm going to use a seatbelt for now. I'm in the super hook. We're going to play the game. Go ahead and get out. Almost always when they try to get out of the super hook, they forget about regular back. Okay? So what I would like you guys to do now, and quickly because I want to get through just a couple more things, but for the next minute, let's say, is I want the person who's getting attacked to try to figure out how to get out without giving up the second hook from seatbelt. Okay, go ahead. Oh. And if he doesn't give that up, then go straight super hook. Like really control the shoulder, maybe go to half Nelson and see what happens. Sound good? All right, 1, 2, 3. All right. Mark, you want to show what you just showed me real quick?
Yeah, can do.
Yeah. So he's got a great little detail here of stopping that back rotation. So go ahead real quick.
So, if we've got either the seat belt or the double underhooks in, so we go for our super hook here. I know my short ass. Get it
Yeah,
in
Will's
there.
will.
So we're in. Okay. So under normal circumstances, when we pull in, we pull our shoulder blades back, that allows him to roll over me. But if I just protract my top shoulder, push it into his shoulder, just shuts him down completely. So when he tries to roll, he's got nowhere to go.
So his elbows are still coming home, but he realizes that his shoulder's a different joint, so it's not just pulling back. He's using his lats to pull back, but then changing the orientation of his shoulder, which doesn't allow this any movement. And guess where, you're gonna help me on this next one here. Guess where he could put me? If he wanted to keep driving that shoulder. Yeah. Back to this belly down position. And belly down strangles are a lot easier. Yeah.
So although I'm pulling back with my shoulder blades, I'm driving in with the shoulder.
Yeah. It's also a cool looking dance. Like if you pull
Yeah, but beautiful. Yeah,
Yeah.
quite hip hoppy.
Thank you, Mark. I appreciate you. Okay. That was another cool detail that I don't, like, I guess I do, but I didn't realize that I did. So I think it was worth, I didn't have it in the class, and I like to give credit where credit's due. That's what we're doing. We're all playing, right? Like you had on the different body, bringing it in. So he's reaching across to control that shoulder, bringing it in, and then locking like this, and then getting that hip in. Beautiful, right? So, last but not least, I wanted to talk about, well, all of this, like, we haven't talked at all about the possibility of strangles, right? So we can go, when we're on back, all we want is chest to back and to control rotation, right? That's it. That's the whole game here. A lot of times I don't, and Will is kind of the same way. He doesn't particularly like to take back. I don't like that they'll have control of my movement. I'm not saying it's a bad position at all. It's just for me, in my game, it's not my favorite. But I do play back like this, where I can move, or I do play back like this, where my amount of control is very significant. But we get to the back so we can strangle, right? So if we come back in here, the other way that we can kind of control, no matter where we are, let's just say we're on normal back. So it's not necessarily that I need to strangle, like if he's going to be in a defensive position, right? But I can, just like a shoulder, I can control which way he's going to turn. So if he's like this, I can easily just bring it back using my shoulder, using my bicep to control his rotation as well, okay? So if he's trying to get out, let's say, to get his back to the ground, well, if I make him look that way, it makes it much more difficult, right? That doesn't mean that you have to go like, right? I would be doing that on his jaw, but I don't want to because that's just not, not my style of jiu-jitsu, right? But you can do that, and if you're training for competition or a fight, I get it, right? But if you train 5 days a week and you're a hobbyist, like you just don't want to take those every day, right? But you can nicely make him look different directions, which you can also control rotation. All right. Everybody see what I'm saying? Okay. I think there's one more thing. As I write this down. No, I think that'll be it. That looks like a good class. So any last questions? Yes.
Which way, so if you make him look this way to choke with this arm, or make him look this way to choke with this arm? Or just messing?
I think where I'm going to leave it is play with it, right? But don't let them forget that it's there. So if they're trying to get out of super hook, most likely they're going to start fighting your legs. Cheat code, right? You want to fight those legs. But if you're fighting the legs, and you're fighting the strangle, and you're fighting the shoulder, that's a lot. At high level jiu-jitsu, you have to do that. But the more that you can add, the more complexity that you can add into it, I think the more chances that you're going to stay on the back. Make sense? Any other questions? Did we have some fun? Did we learn some jiu-jitsu? All right. Did we have a moment of gratefulness for this fucking great camp that we're in? We did. I appreciate all of you. Thank you very much.